This video highlights how Kognetics brings analytics and automation to buy-side idea generation. With Kognetics, one can determine in real time a company's portfolio determined to a granular industry classification, its critical gaps versus market trends across its portfolio, prioritize the gaps based on competitor intensity, activity, and overall industry attractiveness, and identify the most suitable targets that exactly fit the strategic gaps. Let's show you how. First, let's conduct a gap analysis of a company versus its competition. Go to Idea Generation for Investment Banks, select Buy-Side Corporates, select what are the strategic gaps for a corporate based on benchmarking versus its closest competitors. Type in a company name, for example, Salesforce, select company sector, digital marketing, and choose the competitors from the drop-down list such as Oracle, IBM, and Adobe, and submit. The output details all the gaps for the company with respect to each of its selected competitors. We can filter these results based on industry maturity, funding momentum, and various other criteria. Let's filter the industry maturity as emerging early adoption and adolescent beyond early adoption, filter for Salesforce's gaps, and choose sub-industry as marketing analytics. It appears that heat mapping and session replay tools is a critical gap that Salesforce must look at. Alternatively, the same analysis can be done in a stack view. Click on the stack visualization icon on the left menu bar. Here, the amber color indicates industry segments where Salesforce has a presence, while the reds are the industry segments that are gaps for Salesforce when benchmarked with its competitors. To identify critical gaps, you can filter the industry maturity as emerging early adoption and adolescent beyond early adoption, and also limit the analysis to a particular industry by filtering the competitor gap industry to a particular industry. For example, marketing analytics. Here you see heat mapping and session replay tools is one of the gaps for Salesforce versus its competitors. By clicking on the segment, you can see a brief summary of the segment, and you can click on the segment here and can further drill into specific questions about the industry, including identifying companies in that space. Click on heat mapping and session replay tools, and you can see a brief sub-industry profile and also go through questions to see all the relevant questions about this industry, like key acquisitions, exits, PE-backed companies, institutional financiers, and much more. One can also consume the analysis using graph visualization and look at a company's gaps with a totally different perspective. Click on the graph icon from the left panel and get an elaborate view. Use the filter option to further deep dive into the graph. Filter by industry presence in marketing analytics to see the presence within the space. Further filter by industry maturity as adolescent and choose the relevant competition. Again, the capability gaps at a product service level for Salesforce within marketing analytics in the digital marketing umbrella can be determined. Let's now do a quick analysis vis-a-vis industry trends. Within idea generation for investment banks and buy-side corporates, select what are strategic gaps for a corporate based on convergence and transition trends. Type in company name, Salesforce, sector, digital marketing, industry, marketing analytics, converging sector and industry. Let us restrict the analysis to digital marketing, convergence stage, very early stage, which will give us a view of all the convergences, and submit. The algorithm powering this query mines through organic growth and inorganic growth trends, as well as technology partnerships at a company level, and uses graph analytics to determine the intensity of convergence between two industry segments. Let's understand what we mean by convergence. For example, sub-industry web and SEO analytic tools are converging with product information management tools, which means companies operating in web and SEO analytic tools are developing capabilities organically or inorganically in testing and optimization tools, which signifies that both these segments are converging. Some of the companies leading this particular convergence are IBM, Oracle Corporation, and SAP. Filter the results by keeping convergence stage as very late stage for established trends and converging sub-industry maturity to adolescent beyond early adoption for upcoming technologies. Similar stack visualization shows the capability gaps with respect to industry transitions. Filter these by converging sub-industry maturity as emerging early adoption and adolescent beyond early adoption to view industry transition capability gaps. Go to the left panel and click on the Graph Visualization button. Go to Settings and filter the sub-industries as Web and SEO Analytic Tools and Testing and Optimization Tools. You can see all the companies like IBM, Oracle Corporation, and SAP are the ones with both the capabilities in their portfolio, while Salesforce has testing and optimization tools as a gap. So far, we have done a gap analysis on Salesforce, one sector at a time. In case we would like to understand Salesforce's gaps across its portfolio and further prioritize these gaps based on competitor intensity and industry attractiveness, using Kognetics, you can do this with just a couple of clicks. Within Idea Generation for Investment Banks and Buy-Side Corporates, select what are the most critical strategic gaps for a company across its portfolio. In the output, you not only see the gaps for the company versus market convergence trends, but also identify prioritized gaps based on competitor intensity and industry attractiveness, and in the same view, identify companies that are growth companies in these gap areas and are due for an exit in these gap areas. You can consume the analysis using the stack view as well. The stack view allows you to visually see critical gaps for a company across all the sectors, one sector at a time. For example, choose the sector Sales and CRM Software, and the segments in red are prioritized gaps for Salesforce in that sector. Similarly, choose Digital Marketing, and you can see all of Salesforce's gaps with Social Employee Advocacy Tools as a prioritized gap. Let's click over it, and we have a brief summary. Click on the sub-industry name and go to What are all the companies in a sub-industry, and submit. The query will provide a number of companies you can then analyze and filter based upon business signals, funding momentum, and more. Kognetics continuously tracks and monitors each company mapped for their digital footprint, and through analytics classifies the company's news as positive or negative business signals. Let's keep the company type private, funding momentum very high and medium, and select positive business signals like company awards and recognitions, reported profit increase, or reported revenue increase. Among these results, Sprinkler looks like a healthy and interesting company to look into further. We can develop a view on its valuations through public company comparables and precedent transactions. Go to Company and select Public Company Comparables, select the sector, industry, country, and comparables, and then submit. See the relevant columns like company and valuation multiples by using the Add Remove Columns button. download the results for further analysis. Similarly, click Sprinkler and choose List the precedent transactions for a company. Use the Add Remove columns to see the transaction multiples. As you can see, Kognetics is leading a paradigm shift in buy-side idea generation. To learn more, log on to www.kognetics.com.